journey of John's into one.
My name's John Schulz. I'm a professor in digital education in the School of Education. I've chosen two modules for this project. First one is leading and managing in education, and a second one, part of the same program, and it's data collection and analysis in education.
So my name is Luke Myers. I'm an associate professor within the School of Engineering. I run principally two modules. One is a talk module, and that's thermofluids. And I also run a more organisational module. The major thing that I find limiting about Blackboard is the page editing tools. Over a couple of recent editions of Blackboard, they seem to have got less helpful. Another thing is the assessment tools have never been particularly refined in the way that you can view the students' work and then give them feedback.
For me, the original Blackboard was very clunky. It wasn't overly intuitive. Students couldn't really find things on it. I think discussions were really terrible on the original Blackboard, is where they sort of had to go off and find the discussion board and then come back to what you're talking about, and that really wasn't helpful.
So the first reason I volunteered for the early adopter programme was to get first sight of Blackboard Ultra. I understood that it had a very different layout, and where I teach so many students in the first year, it's very important to get Blackboard right in terms of how the students can find information and navigate it as easily as possible. Second reason was, as my role as director of Part 1 in engineering, we deploy a lot of assessments to the students, and if Ultra really does have enhanced assessment functionality, then I needed time to be able to investigate that, to see if we could assess the students more effectively. I think with the old version of Blackboard, because we're always time and energy constrained, we would roll over the course and then make incremental changes, whereas Ultra is a fundamentally very different look and feel. And so being an early adopter gives me a lot more time to really investigate some of the areas of Blackboard that I never really engaged with or used.
One of the things I hope to gain by being an early adopter is actually to sort of get an intimate knowledge of Ultra, I suppose in a slightly less stressful way. I think one of the tricky little things is going to say, well, my contract is often online learning, so it's fully online programs, is how would you use this in a more blended approach? And that's one of the things I'm exploring at the moment. So the early adopter just sort of gives me the chance to actually to play with some of those ideas.
To find your course on Blackboard, or maybe you have had issues.
For me, the biggest problem is likely to be the amount of time it takes to move across. The new Ultra is a lot more intuitive, but it actually really does mean looking at your whole module from scratch again and working out how can I do this. So that's going to take a lot of work, and I think that's my biggest concern about the rollover. Can I just say, once we do that the following year, it'll be very easy. Just press a button and it'll roll over, and then you can just do updates and things like that.
Having played around with Ultra for a little while now and done some of the training, the layout is much better on the screen. There's certain functionality and course tools that have been condensed down, so they take up less space, and the general look of the landing page on Ultra looks very nice. The most exciting thing is the way that we can view students' submitted assessments, and we can also give them feedback. So now there's a whole different bunch of ways we can give them feedback, including really helpfully audio and video. The functionality and the power there is greatly increased. Also, the assessments allow us to individually set extensions, so all the students just submit to one place, and each student's individual circumstances around the assessment can be altered on their record. So I can see some really nice sort of efficiency savings and some increasing in the quality of stuff we can return to students and how we also set our assessments.
I like the way that it forces you or facilitates you to use a sequence type learning approach rather than just treating the VLE as a depository or just throwing everything in. And it really does sort of facilitate sort of a curated learning experience for the student. I love the new discussions where you can actually just put them in the middle of that sequence and they don't have to go off hunting for the discussion board. I really like the accessibility tool. It helps you to look at each of the resources you do and straight away know, oh, how can I change this for it to be accessible?
Good.